Hey, y'all, I want to say before I get into this time in the Word that I can't remember a year in all of my lifetime that people wanted to end. Like more than this year. I've never heard, this year people have canceled the whole year. Way back early in the year when some of our heroes and icons were dying, like people just, before the pandemic, people was like, I'm done with 2020. 2020 canceled, the whole thing. January canceled, February canceled, March is canceled, April, May, June, July, canceled. August, September, October, November, canceled. But they ain't canceled November because of the election. But December, canceled. And I've never been a part of a year where people were just anxious. And there are people right now who are just watching the clock saying, I can't wait till the clock strikes midnight so we can get out of 2020. And I've always been like this. Not always, but of late, I've always been of late, I've tried to be in this mode. Instead of trying to get out of something, what was I supposed to get out of it? Like, I don't want to get out of something without getting something out of it. Yeah. And I think that's very important. So what I want to share tonight, now granted, if God is gracious enough, wherever you are in the world right now watching, if you make it till midnight, then that's something to rejoice over, to celebrate that we made it into another year. That is worth celebrating, and we will. But before we get there, I want to share a message around some questions that came to me on social media and some praying and thinking I have been doing and I'm going to just call this message some friendly advice. That's what I'm going to call it, some friendly advice. And so I want to start, and I'm going to give you 4 things. I'm going to give you 4 points, some friendly advice points, and then I'm going to ask you some questions, and then we're going to be done with it. But here's some friendly advice. So first of all, I want to talk to people who have suffered loss, death this year or recently, and you're still hurting. You're grieving somebody precious you lost, and you're grieving. And I want to talk to you about that. And I want to call this first piece of advice good grief. Good grief. Now, in the Bible, in Matthew chapter 5, verse 4, that's where I want to turn. Matthew chapter 5, verse 4. It says this in the Beatitudes. It says, God blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. The Lord blesses those who mourn, for they will be comforted. So mourning is not a bad thing. In fact, it is the passageway to the comfort that comes from God. We have to mourn. So one of the things I want you to do right now, with all the things we've been putting in chat all night, all the fun, the pranks, the jokes, and all the things we've been doing, I want you to do something right now in honor of who we lost this year. I want you to just take a minute and just type their names into the chat right now. Who did you lose? Who did you lose? Just begin to type their name. Like, who do you miss? It could be somebody this year. It could be somebody recently who the pain of that loss is still fresh for you. And I just want us all to get a sense that we've all suffered loss. And as you type their names into the chat, you begin to realize that we've lost parents, and we've lost siblings, and we've lost children, and we've lost icons, and we've lost celebrities, and we've lost political leaders, and we've lost activists, and we've lost colleagues, and we've lost neighbors, and we've lost coaches, and we've lost friends, and we've lost family members, and there's been so much loss. And as you type those names, maybe even tears begin to flow as you type the names of those persons. And I want you to know that when you cry, that's a good thing. That your tears release pain. They release pain through your body. They're allowed toxins and emotional pain and distress that is housed in our body to come out. It's okay. Your tears are okay. And as you write down those names and think about the people you lost, that is a part of good grief. It is mourning. It is allowing your heart, it is accepting the fact that your heart is broken. But there's another side of good grief that I want to talk to, and I don't want to rush past the broken side how broken you may be, but I also want you to know that when you have good grief, it's not just about how broken you are, it's about how blessed you were. Now, what am I saying? Anybody that hurt you real bad when you lost them, it means they blessed you real good while they were here. I'll say that again for the people in the back. Anybody that hurt you real bad when you lost them, that means they blessed you real good while they were here. Which is saying this, they were precious. Because we don't mourn things that we lose that aren't valuable. We don't mourn things, we don't mourn people that we lose that aren't valuable. They had to be valuable, they had to be precious, they had to be special. So why should you be grateful for that? It's a blessing that God chose you to be in a relationship with that person. It's a blessing that God chose you to be in their family. It's a blessing that God allows your paths to cross. You are blessed in that situation. So don't just be sad about what you lost or who you lost, but be grateful that God allows your paths to cross. That God, in his infinite wisdom, chose you to be a part of their life. And so here's what I want you to do right now. Here's what I want you to type in the chat right now. Instead of focusing on the fact that they're no longer here, what I want you to do in the chat right now is type the length of time you were blessed to spend with them. I don't care if it was 2 minutes or 2 hours or 2 decades or 27 years or 57 years or 16 years or 6 weeks. Whatever the time was that God bless you, start typing it in the chat right now. Because some of you need to rejoice over the fact that, you know what, I missed that person so much, but God gave me time with that person. God gave me time. And you need to be grateful for the time that you had. That's good grief. Not just being broken over what you lost, but being grateful and blessed for the time that you had it. So here's a question. Here's my question I want to ask you around good grief. Here's a question. What can you do to honor the memory of the person that you lost? Anybody that was that precious to you is maybe a part of your grieving process is discovering what is it you can do to honor their memory. There are all kinds of things you can do to honor somebody's memory. There are people who've started annual events in the name of a person who's no longer with us. People who started scholarships and started foundations in the name of somebody who's no longer with us. People who've named their children or grandchildren after somebody who's no longer with us. People who've named buildings and rooms and auditoriums and events. What can you do to honor the memory of the person that you lost? That's all a part of good grief. Here's a second piece of friendly advice I want to give you, and it is around enterprise. Those of you around me enough know that at some point I'm going to talk business with you, and I'm going to challenge you to be business oriented. In fact, let me read a scripture to you before I get there. And here's what I'm labeling this piece of advice. I'm going to tell you what it's called first, and I'm calling this piece of advice, let's get down to business. Let's get down to business. In Luke chapter 19, I'm going to need some help with this one because I want to do it from a different translation. The New American Standard Bible reads like this in verse 12. Luke chapter 19. Do we have that? Yeah, thank you. It says, so he said, a nobleman went to a distant country to receive a kingdom for himself and then return. Watch what happens next. And he called 10 of his slaves and gave them 10 minas and said to them, do business with this until I come back. Do business with this until I come back. The 10 minas was some money. He gave them money. He says, listen, do business with this money till I come back. Do business with this resource till I come back. Do business with this opportunity I'm giving you until I come back. Now, here's what I want to tell you. COVID-19, in my opinion, was a tremendous opportunity to start and do business. I don't think the window of opportunity is closed, But I think it's a tremendous opportunity to start enterprises and business that can bless your family and yourself for generations. I heard about a business that's here tonight, here on campus with us tonight, on New Year's Eve, a catering business, that a son who's now running the business that's been in the family for 15, 20 years, and it started with his mother bringing potato salad to work. I think that's how I was told the story. She brought potato salad to work, and as a result of her bringing potato salad to work, somebody asked her, like in a week, the next week, to fully cater an event for 30 people. And she has not stopped catering since. Now the business has been passed on to her son. And I'm saying that's seizing an opportunity. And the reason why I say this is because so many people have not moved on opportunities to establish business because you think it's so hard and you're overwhelmed and intimidated by it. And before I go into business, I want to tell you that being an entrepreneur is a biblical thing. There are people in the Bible who are entrepreneurs. For example, Abraham was an entrepreneur. He had several businesses. He had a cattle business, and he had silver and gold, and he had a tent making business as well. There's the Apostle Paul. Not only was he an author of over at least 12 books in the New Testament, he's written almost 50% of the New Testament, but he was also a trained Jewish attorney. And in addition to that, he did what we would now call real estate construction work. He built tents, built homes for people. That was his business. There's a lady in Proverbs 31, the Proverbs 31 woman who's unnamed. This woman had staff in her house. By the way, Abraham also had over 300 staff. The woman in Proverbs 31 had a staff working for her. She would make fashion materials, fashion garments, and sell it. And then the Bible says she would survey a land and she flipped property. This is going on in the Bible. Solomon, one of the wisest men on earth, had an international ship trading business, merchant ships that he traded with. In fact, many people mocked Solomon for all the wives he had, but actually his wives, most of the women that he married, had nothing to do with intimate relationships. It was all business. He would marry people from other countries who pose a threat to his country, and he would marry people to turn an enemy into an ally. So he'd marry a woman from a nation to make that country an ally because he knew they wouldn't attack him in his country if he gave citizenship to one of their citizens. It was all business for him. And so I want to give you three things. What I want to do is I want to show you three simple things you need to understand to actually move into a place of business, because I think that one of the things we're missing as people of faith is the opportunity for enterprise. And the way it works is there are three foundational things you need that I believe are roads that lead to the intersection of a business. And so it goes like this. The first thing you need is a road. This road goes this way. There must be a need or a problem. A need that needs to be met and a problem that needs to be solved, right? So that need or problem can be a number of things. It could be somebody's busy, they have dogs, but they work all the time. They don't have time to walk their dog. So now there's a need. It could be a need of somebody that needs to commute to work, but they don't like to drive. It could be a need of somebody who wants to eat healthy meals, but they don't have time to cook it. It could be a need of somebody that likes a clean car or a clean house, but they don't have the time to clean it. So here's the thing. Somebody wants groceries but don't want to go to the grocery store. That's a need. That's a problem. Now watch this. When there's a solution or a resource to help solve that problem, that is number two. So here's the problem. I live in the Midwest and my heat went out. Right now in December 31st, if your heat went out and you're in the Midwest right now, you have a problem. I know you ain't need me to tell you that, but I'm telling you, if the solution is you look up HVAC companies, and the first one you come to is Always Comfy. The first people you saw was Always Comfy, and they're open 24 hours a day. Now you have a solution to the problem you have. You have a resource to your need, and if you have passion for that for that area and high skill to do it, that is the intersection of your business. One, when there's a need or a problem and you have a solution or resource, and number three, you have the passion or skill. People minimize the importance of passion and skill when it comes to it. Because if you're only meeting a need and you're only providing a resource, but you don't have passion about it, the challenges of the business will make you quit. See, the challenges will drown you. Or if you're not highly skilled in your products and services, if your product, and I don't know if y'all can see that, maybe they can zoom in on it. If your products and services aren't highly skilled or at a high level, then it won't be the challenges that drown you, it'll be your competition that drowns you. Because you can't be average in business and be successful unless your business is almost free. And if your business is real cheap, then you can have long lines, but you'll still have empty pockets. So even though there are a lot more components to it, you got to market it right. You can't put stuff in the yellow pages and think people are going to find you. Some of y'all old school know what the yellow pages is, and there are about 2,000 people listening to this right now who have no idea what the yellow pages are. And you'd be surprised how many people are marketing in places where people are not. So you have to understand how to market your business and all that. But at the core essential of it, it comes down to these three things. Is there a need and a problem? Do you have a solution for that problem? Can you meet that need? And are you passionate about this area? So here's how I want to do it. I want to ask you some questions, and I want to ask the questions this way. It's going to come up a little different. Here's what you do. I want to ask you three questions. The first question is, put the first question up on the screen. What are you passionate about and highly skilled at? This is how you find out what kind of business you should be. What are you passionate about? What do you love? And you're skilled at. Because you can love being a musician, but you can't play. See, I'm now preaching to myself. It's a combination. You ain't have to laugh like that. It's a combination. It's a combination. Skill and passion. Right? Now, whatever you identify right there, you're highly skilled and very passionate about, you have just identified an industry, a sector. Now, here's the next thing. Now that you know the industry or sector because of your skill and passion, what are the problems and needs of people in that industry and in that sector? Right? So now you know, here's what people struggle with who are in this industry. That's question number 2. What are the problems? And then here's question number 3. Do you have the tools and the resources and the skills to meet those needs and solve those problems? And if you can answer yes to that, I got 3 words for you. You're in business. You're in business. It's really that simple. And I'm not even talking rhetoric. This is stuff I've done. I've done this. I've started organizations, and I've seen these 3 things work. Let me tell you one of the problems in my industry. One of the problems was people wanted to come to church and didn't want to have to put on church clothes. So guess what? We created a church where they can come wearing whatever they got. That's just one simple thing you have to do. And I've also started and been a part of building enterprises that didn't work because we didn't address these things. Here's the third area I want to give you. I'm running out of time. Third area of advice is relationship rebounding. I want to talk about relationship rebounding. In Matthew chapter 18, it says in verse 15, it says, if somebody has offended you, you should go to that person and see if you can restore the relationship and have a conversation with them. And if they listen to you, then you've won that person back. But in verse 16, it says, if that doesn't work, then you take 1 or 2 other people with you to go back again to make sure that every word is established, because you don't want to stop at a breach in a relationship because the 2 of you couldn't work it out. You have to be willing to go the extra mile to say, you're so important to me, this relationship is too important to me to let it just sit. So I'm going to get help. So my question to you tonight, here's the question. What relationship pain are you experiencing? Where are you experiencing it? And are you willing to go get help? Because anytime you have relationship pain, it is not just a revelation that the relationship is in trouble. It's also a revelation that you have an inadequacy. Because if you weren't inadequate, the relationship wouldn't have unresolved issues. For example, anytime somebody drives a car, if you drive a car, you own a car, whenever that car needs repairs, it's your fault. It's not that you did anything wrong, but you've been the one driving it and driving it and driving it and driving it and driving it, and now the light is on in the car, and now and now because the car is valuable to you, you're going to make it a priority to get it repaired. That's your priority. You're going to get it repaired. And 99% of us are going to take it somewhere to somebody other than ourselves to fix it because we don't know how to fix it. We know how to drive it, but we don't know how to fix it. That's a fact. What now? And the reason why we go take it somewhere to get it fixed, because we know if we don't do anything, it won't get better. Ooh, that's so good. I'm saying if your relationship is broken, you got to care enough about it to not just let it sit. It ain't going to fix itself. It's like, just like a car is not going to fix itself, the relationship is not going to fix itself. You have to take it somewhere where somebody can help you. Now, you can do little maintenance on the car. You can study how to change tires, how to rotate tires, how to change your own oil, how to change the fluids in your car. You should do stuff like that. That's what I did. People want to know how Vicki and I survived a tough marriage. And I'm saying, because we got help. We went to get help from somebody, and we still do it whenever we need help. But it's also because we both work on being a better husband and wife. We study how to be a good spouse. We study how to love each other. You have to work on yourself. The quality of your relationship is an indication of the quality of how you present yourself in the relationship. All right? So this is what I'm going to do, because I don't even know what time it is right now, but I know this. I know y'all ain't playing about this. I'm going to hold off on my last one. I'll share it another time. I'll share it next week or maybe post midnight or something like that. But I want to make sure that we respect this countdown, because I see my clock is flashing. So you got your phone? Let me see exactly what time it is. Brother Josh. Oh, you got 5. I got 5 minutes. What am I supposed to do? I got 5 minutes? I got 4 minutes. Let me give you my last point. I got one. My last piece of advice is that's a no from me. That's a no from me. This is a boundary piece of advice. That's a no for me. In Mark chapter 6 in the New Testament, there's a passage in Mark chapter 6 in verses 30 to 32 where Jesus tells his disciples, he says, listen, I want y'all to come, verse 31, he said, I want y'all to come get away with me. We need to get away, and we need to go somewhere by ourselves, because the people were pressing up on them so much that they didn't even have time to eat. And they had so many ministry demands, and so many people were pressing up on them, they didn't have time to eat. And so Jesus said, let's get away. In verse 32, he said, let's get away by ourselves. Let's say no to the needs of the people. Not because the people are ready to hear a no, but because we need a no right now. That's a no for me. See, a no is a boundary word. I want you to get good at saying no, which is very ironic. One of the first three to 7 words that a child ever learns is the word no. And it's deep to me that one of the words that's easiest for a child to learn is hardest for an adult to say. We are so committed to people pleasing that we don't know how to say no. And I'm telling you, stop saying yes to stuff that ain't you. Stop accepting assignments that you ain't anointed for. Stop agreeing to go places that's going to make you miserable. So you're so busy trying to make everybody else happy, and you miserable the whole time. Learn how to say what you learn how to say. One of the first 3 words you ever learned how to say was no. Get good at it. Get good at putting up boundaries, because no creates order in your life and eliminates chaos. And I'm going to tell you, if your life is chaotic and you can't keep up with things you need to keep up with, if you have trouble getting over colds, see, if you don't listen to the whispers of your body, you'll have to listen to the screams of your body on the way to the emergency room. And one of the signs that you need to learn how to say no more is you keep getting sick. I know that happens to me all the time. Another sign of chaos is when I don't eat properly, I don't take care of myself. You have to learn how to say no. That's a no for me. That's a no for me. So here's my question for you. The question is, where do you need to stick your nose in at? Where do you need to stick your nose? Not the nose on your face, the no that needs to come out of your mouth. Where do you need to put it? Who needs to hear no from you? Who's controlling you and manipulating you and making you feel guilty for not always saying yes? I want to empower you to say that's a no for me. That won't fit. That doesn't fit. I'm not interested in that. I'm good with that. Before we go, I hope that was helpful for you in some way. I hate preaching on New Year's Eve because I'm looking at the clock and I'm doing all this stuff, but I'm going to respect this time. Am I counting down? Is Tommy coming up here? K-Son? Did I say your name right? Come on over, man. You funny.
Thank you, sir.
You know, I wanted to be a comedian. I really did.
You still got time?
I still got time?
Yeah.
God is able.
I say go for it.
Go for the comedian stuff?
Yeah. It's a problem.
Huh? Come on.
It's a solution.
Well,
You got the skill.
I got the skill?
I think so.
You think so? You think I can make it out there?
You can do your first 5 minutes after in 2021 if you want.
Wow.
We got 20 seconds.
Maybe I
left.
could go somewhere with you where I can open up for you.
Let's do it.
Huh?
Come on.
You joned on me?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, that hoodie, huh? Huh?
10,
9,
8,
7,
6,
5,
3,
2,
1.
Happy New Year!